Breaking news, San Francisco 49ers faithful. The San Francisco 49ers plan per Adam Schefter to hire or promote Nick Sorensen as their defensive coordinator in 2024. They also plan to hire former head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, Brandon Staley, as an assistant head coach. Now, I'm excited for both hirings. I had a feeling that it was going to be an internal hiring with inside the organization. Nick Sorensen, for those that don't know who he is, he served as the 49ers passing game specialist or whatever for the San Francisco 49ers. So this is good for the 49ers. They decided to go internally. I feel like they got a better vibe from the internal hirings. Now, I thought that they would go externally, and that's what was taking it so long. And I think now we see what was taking the process so long. We see what was taking the process so long. So, since the San Francisco 49ers decided to go internally for, and I know it's everybody's probably scratching their head, but since the San Francisco 49ers decided to go internally for the defensive coordinating position, they did decide to, with the interview with Brandon Staley, to bring him along as an assistant head coach. I would expect him to probably help out, not with the offense, but just to probably help out, to oversee, to take away some of the responsibility that Kyle Shanahan had to give to the defense when it came to Steve Wilks. I think having Brandon Staley there, having a defensive mind also in the building would help a young guy like Nick Sorensen, since this is his first time. Now, I know a lot of us are trying to figure it out. Why didn't they go with experience? Why didn't they go with a guy like Dave Merritt, who has the experience under Steve Spags and things like that? I'm not sure. Pocket the cheesecake. I don't think we'll ever get an offensive coordinator here. I don't want Brandon Staley anywhere near the offense. He is an assistant head coach, but I do expect him to help out with the defense. That's his specialty. And since he's not going to be the defensive coordinator, I expect his assistant coaching to help out in that particular category. All right. That's just my guess. I really don't know. He hasn't really been given a title. It's going to be something like as an assistant head coach, sort of like what Anthony Lynn was on the offensive side. We thought that he was going to help out more offensively, but they decided to put him more into the run game. So he's more like a run game specialist. So we'll see. That's going to all wither out and break down. I know Peachy's saying, what? What's going on, Christy Marie? I know we're going to be scratching our head, but listen, they went internally. I will say that they've been pretty successful with their internal hires. You got to look at a guy like D'Amico Ryans. I know he played football. I know he played linebacker, but you got to look at Nick Sorensen, who also was the Seattle Seahawks secondary coach at one point throughout his tenure of coaching. And this kind of is going to help make sure that the secondary stays tight. That group, I do expect the San Francisco 49ers to focus on the secondary. This is good that they finally got the coaches in place. And so hopefully the official announcement from the organization will come out very shortly. All right. But I tell you what, the Niners got a guy internally, a guy that's been in the system. Okay. So they don't have a guy that's been outside of the system, a guy that's going to try to come and implement a whole bunch of different things. One of the things Kyle Shanahan disliked about Steve Wilks was the simple fact that he couldn't marry the secondary with the pass rush. And I don't think Kyle Shanahan wants the pass rush and the front to change much. He wants those guys to pin their ears back and go and get that daggone quarterback. It's a little different now in today's football with everything being sped up. That's why I think the 49ers also address the daggone defensive front. I think they get a new type of pass rush, a guy with a new type of speed. It's the one thing they've been lacking. If you ask me, what makes the San Francisco 49ers different? And two things I feel like they lack in the speed category. They lack in the speed rush category, and they lack in speed when it comes to running the ball. It's so weird, right? But they've been successful. The only thing is they can't win the Super Bowl. So we'll see what's going to happen. It's definitely going to be a fun season. Fernando, what's going on? But, get ready to get geared up. The combine is still underway. Just get geared up for what's about to go down as far as how they're going to attack the draft. Pay attention to what's going to happen in free agency. If the Niners decide to address free agency on the offensive line side, I still think that they draft an offensive line, but they're going after one of those premier pass rushers that you guys got a chance to watch. I'm putting out the news, so make sure you check out everything that's going down. I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen. If they decide to address free agency with the pass rusher, expect them to go first with an offensive lineman that can come in and service them. And don't expect it to be the great tackle. I think it'll be a guy like Graham Barton, who I don't think will play tackle in the NFL because of his arm size. He'll be slid over into the interior to play guard, but he's a mean motherfucker out of Duke. That would be a good pick for the 49ers, even though I'm high on Tyler Guyton. I think that's the way that they go. Fernando says, I don't trust this hire. I'm sorry, but I'm letting it play out. I still trust our offense to help out our defense. Listen, a lot of people are not going to trust the hire. You are not alone. 49ers _ throwback. It's going to be what it is. The thing that I do know is that they're going to continue to make sure that the defense remains on top. The person that's coordinating it, that's the question mark. As far as Nick Sorensen, he's been in the system. That's why I keep saying when DeMeco Ryans was in the system, we saw hiccups at the very beginning. Remember his first game? We saw hiccups. They were blowing out Detroit, and then all of a sudden that defense just started falling. They took players out. They started falling asleep. We saw hiccups. I expect the hiccups, but the key to the 49ers is they're not a bunch of young players on defense. Keep that in mind. Not a lot of young players on defense. And number two, those guys are seasoned. They've been playing together. And so the defense probably is going to look a lot better than it was for Robert Saleh when he didn't have anybody when he first started, as well as DeMeco Ryans when he first started. It wasn't until his second term of defensive coordinator when he kind of like superly figured it out. So look, it's going to be a work in progress. It is all good. Shout out to everybody out there. Steven on the West Coast. I didn't realize it. I forgot it's 5 a.m. I was on my way to the gym, and I had to pull over to do this breaking news video. But listen, breaking news, the San Francisco 49ers are hiring internally Nick Sorensen. It was a guy that I kept talking about throughout the season. I know Tony mentioned him a lot. This is a guy that I feel like is going to find a way to make the San Francisco 49ers defense and keep them relevant. I think the key to him is he doesn't have to change much as far as his concepts, his schemes. I think it remains the same. It's play the pass and rush the four, but it's a lot. It's going to be some. You're going to see the stunts and all that stuff come back. Gammon, what's going on, bro? So like I said, we're going to sit back. We're going to relax. We're going to see what happens. Now, let's see how they continue to find a way to build the team. Will Nick Sorensen get some pieces that he sees that he's been scouting? All right. Niners amateur draft scout says, I bet Nick won't zero blitz in the Super Bowl. I bet you won't see one all-out blitz at all in 2024 from the San Francisco 49ers. I think Kyle Shanahan wants that play all the way out of the defensive playbook. And I think that is one of the things that has set him up. I think there's certain situations. And you know what's funny? It's not just the all-out blitz or the zero blitz, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't just that. You got to go back and look at what the 49ers were doing on third down, especially third and long. And I think that's where they struggled the most. You heard Dave Merritt talk about the Niners going on third down. They were 3 for 12. It's not going to cut it in the NFL. And so you got to get better in that area. And if I say where DeMeco was better, he was definitely better on third down. You know what? I'll do a video breakdown on Patreon or something, and I'll go through how these coordinators were on third and long. It's weird. Third and longs were like tough areas for the 49ers because they didn't know if they were playing pass. They didn't know if people were going to run. They just didn't know how to play it. But, again, it comes down to having those pieces out there. I'm not upset with the Steve Wilkes firing. I'm not super excited about who we hired, but we're going to have to roll with it. Okay, so Nick Sorensen is the new defensive coordinator for the 49ers. They decided to go internally. And I tell you what, guys, stay tuned. Let's see what they do in free agency, and let's see how they attack this particular draft. I guarantee you it's going to be fireworks, guys. Listen, thanks for tuning in. I truly appreciate it. And I also like the Brandon Staley. No one's talking about the Brandon Staley. And I'm hoping he comes in and he gives that. He's going to be like the mentor, I think, to oversee the defense. I'm telling you, one of the biggest issues, and I know everybody's shaking their head, one of the biggest issues was Kyle Shanahan micromanaging that defense. I'm telling you, That was one of the biggest things that took away from the offense. I'm not making it as an excuse. I just think Kyle Shanahan from an offensive mind, had to be in the defensive room too much. Hiring a guy like Brandon Staley. What is Brandon Staley known for? His defensive mind. You bring another defensive mind to oversee the young apprentice of Nick Sorensen. I think it's a win-win. I'm going to be the first to say it. I can't go and tell you if this is a bad hire because Nick Sorensen has never defensive coordinated before. So we're just going to have to take the 2024 season and put it into, to play. Listen, I love you guys. I got to get to the gym. I got an appointment at 8:30. Man, y'all stay up, stay faithful. Thanks for tuning into the breaking news. Peace out.